During a trip to sub-Saharan Africa in early August, Secretary of State Tony Blinken unveiled a new strategy for engaging African states as partners. Mvemba Phezo Dizolele is a senior fellow and director at the Africa program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Mvemba, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mimi.
So, why is a new strategy necessary?
The new strategy is necessary because the U.S. had tended to engage Africa on an ad hoc manner. They've been at the strategy document in the past, but they've not fully informed U.S.-Africa policy. What is really needed now is for the U.S. to define a clear policy towards Africa so that the engagement with Africa is not driven by events or by other contingencies. We look at this new strategy as the foundation of such policy. That is, if it's fully implemented, it can serve as the foundation of that policy, which will lead U.S. engagement in Africa in the 21st century.
So what does the U.S. want from African states, and what do African countries want from the United States?
Well, the U.S. is the biggest player on the international stage, and Africa is really the continent that is most critical for the world, survival of the world. I'm talking about natural resources, mineral resources, climate change, Africa with its forests, but also the biggest resource that Africa offers, which is its youth. We will remember that the median age in Africa is 19. The median age in Germany is 49. So just by looking at those demographics, Africa is a continent of about 1.4 billion people, and more than half of that population is under 19. So you can see there that the U.S., if it will continue to remain competitive, will need Africa on its side.
And on the flip side, what does Africa want from the United States?
Africa wants a consistent engagement with the United States, not an ad hoc reactionary approach. At this point, if you read the news, you always hear about the Chinese and the Russians are in Africa. You go to Congress, you sit in on hearings. It seems like the U.S. is always worried about these other actors that's in Africa. What Africa needs from the U.S. is a definition of where the U.S. stands vis-a-vis Africa, so that African then can engage, bring their own input in engaging with the United States.
And
that's what is being missing.
How influential are Russia and China in sub-Saharan Africa?
The two countries have different level of influence. China, of course, has brought a lot of money into Africa, particularly in the space of infrastructure. Africa, being a large continent, needs roads, needs airports, needs money for all kinds of projects. China is being readily available in giving that money. It comes with some string, it comes with all kinds of conditions, but African leaders are readily happy to accept that funding. The U.S. does not do that much. The U.S. is mostly humanitarian aid and other contribution, but is not always clear. For Russia, it's mostly been on the defense and security. Africa is also home to several conflicts and several oppressive regimes. Those need help. And Russia is always happy to provide hardware, aircraft, weapon system, and so on.
So I want to ask you both about diplomacy and security. First, what steps does the State Department need to take in the short term to strengthen that U.S. relationship with African countries?
I think in the short term, the U.S. is to make it clear that they want to be partners with Africans. And this is what the strategy document says. The strategy document really underscores the need for partnership with Africa, and Africans welcome that. The second key portion of this strategy is African agency. Traditionally, the U.S. has not taken African seriously, because the U.S. tend to go through former colonial powers to design whatever approach that they want to take on Africa. The fact that this document focuses on African strategy, African agency, is actually a big departure from previous strategy documents.
And what should the Defense Department be thinking about in terms of security cooperation?
I think in terms of security cooperation, the U.S. foreign security assistance need to be turned upside down. The US has invested billions of dollars in security projects in places like the Sahel or the Horn of Africa, but that has not led to peace. So I think we need to start considering security not just an arrangement between military to military and government to government, but as a service. If we look at security as a service, then the end users of security are the civilian populations. If that is the case, then the civilian population should be involved early on the design of security programs and assistance program, because they are the one who decide whether security is broken out or not. So far, we've seen rising communal violence, even the insurgent gaining ground all over the Sahel. That means that the structure and the design of the security assistance that the U.S. is giving these African countries inadequate.
And just briefly, do you think Secretary Blinken's visit will change the status quo between the U.S. and African countries?
The visit is a very good first step, very important first step. The question will be, how does the U.S. execute its strategy? The strategy is as good as the execution, the tactics that will come. If not, it will remain a very fine piece of literature.
All right, Mvemba, thanks so much for being on the program. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you, Mimi.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future Government Matters interviews.